microphone selected. I do apologize. As I stated, but you couldn't hear me. My name is Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD89 VA Claims Consulting, United States Army veteran, and retired VA rating specialist. So Jeffrey J, can you hear me? I had to reselect my microphone. So give me a thumbs up, Jeff, if you can hear me. Wait a minute. All right. Can anyone hear me? Okay. You can. Okay. All right. Definitely appreciate that, Jeffrey J. Okay. All right. So I hope you all heard the intro. I'll give it again a third time. I do apologize. I had some technical difficulties. I was in a Zoom earlier, so I'm switching back and forth with microphones again. Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD89 VA Claims Consulting, United States Army veteran, and retired VA rating specialist. Again, this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It's not a guarantee for benefits. And always ask veterans, ensure that you still continue to go to the VA's website, get the updated information, because the regulations, references, court cases, whatever on the VA's website, it constantly changes. Okay. So something that we could be talking about this evening could change tomorrow, next week, or next month. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into some questions. But before we get into the questions, make sure you go out and look at some of our previous videos. Been seeing some videos been getting a lot of views, especially one that talks about Social Security. So if you have questions about Social Security, I'm not the expert. In that video, I was interviewing a subject matter expert that deals with nothing but SSI, SSD, the whole umbrella for Social Security. Her name is Liz. She left her contact information in the video. I suggest if you didn't get the information, go back and look at the video, get her contact information. A lot of veterans are asking me questions. I'm not the one that's answering the questions in the video. I know what Social Security is, but I don't know the ins and out. Okay, Liz, the young lady that I interviewed, she's a subject matter expert. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into some Q&A. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Okay, so first question, Bamboo. Hello, my obstructive sleep apnea claim was sent back to the regional office after a HLR found a duty to assist error, failure to obtain an exam medical opinion. Can I now submit additional evidence, private DBQ and rebutting IMO? No, unless when you did that high-level review, did the decision review officer, the DRO, or the adjudicator, did they request that information from you? And when you did, if you had an informal conference, and this is for all veterans, if you have an informal conference, don't wait till after the conference to ask, can you submit additional evidence? The time to ask that is during the informal conference. Those are the individuals that have to give you permission to send in that additional evidence. Okay. So, Bamboo, that's not, I've been asked that question before, but don't wait till after the informal conference, if you had an informal conference, to ask that question. The time for that question was during that informal conference of the high-level review. So if they didn't ask for anything at this particular time, no, because it's clear on the VA Form 20-0996, what does it tell you? I'm not going to get into detail on it, but I did a video on the 0996, which you can submit, when you can submit, if you can submit anything at all, okay? But you can find additional answers to that question on that particular form, okay? Now, you can submit it even if they didn't ask you for it. But the main question then is, will they consider it? Probably not, because they didn't request that information from you, all right? All right, Better Call Saul. After filing for an increase and winning, congrats. What does it mean when they change your effective date? Does a 5, 10, and 20-year rule start from the new date? Yes. So whenever you're going for an increase and you awarded that increase, your effective date is going to change. Okay. It's not going to be 10% from, let's just say June 1st, 2020, and you come back in and you want 20%, and it's going to say June 1st, 2020. It's going to change. All right. Jeffrey J, my question is in about a BDD claim. I have made all my claims and had the CMP exams. I went on TRICARE online and read my DBQs, and I'm seeing the doc is saying I have no diagnosis. I can, okay, wait a minute. I can tell that you got, okay, I see what you did, Jeff. My file was never reviewed. Every one of my claim conditions was properly documented with appropriate ICD codes. I feel like the examiner is setting me up for failure. How would a rater deal with it? If you have no diagnosis, that's a denial because you don't have a diagnosis. But any seasoned rater, if there's a diagnosis in service that's listed, and that examiner stated that you didn't have a diagnosis, a good rater will send that back and say, hey, the veteran has a diagnosis in service that is documented. Please confirm or update the CMP exam to reflect that. Okay. Now, that's going to be up to that rater if they catch that. If I was still rating, then that's what I would do. Okay, I would send it back and inform the examiner that there is actually a diagnosis that's documented in service. But Jeffrey, also keep in mind, if you're within that, I think, 80 between 80 and 190 day window, okay, you can still file claims. Okay, I'll say it again. If you're within that 80 and 190 day window, you still can file a claim. I did a video that's on my YouTube channel about that exact statement I just made on the BDD claims process. So if you haven't saw that video, go to my website, do a search, just type in BDD. When you get to my, not my website, when you get to my YouTube channel, go to the search menu or the magnifying glass, type in BDD, and that video will come up. All right, Philip Gully, I received my claims file and noticed the examiner stated there is no nexus connecting my conditions to service. I had an outstanding nexus letter. The VA hasn't decided on my case yet if the denied. Okay, Philip. And this is just not for Philip, but for everybody. If you get a DBQ and nexus statement done and you file a claim, okay, and the VA schedules you for a CMP exam and you go to it, my question to you would be, why did you spend your time getting a DBQ and nexus statement from your private doctor if your intentions was to go to that CMP exam anyway? The whole purpose of the VA having the DBQs on their website is to help alleviate that backlog so veterans could take it out to their private doctor and get them completed. Now, sometimes they're not sufficient, and the VA employee has to schedule a CMP exam. But I've done videos here recently where I talk about why aren't some VA employees using veterans' sufficient DBQs. Okay. I think I did one either last month, a month before last, but I have a couple on my website. Okay. Because 9 times out of 10, you go to that CMP exam, they're going to use that information over your doctor's information, especially if you pay for that information. Now, I'm not telling anybody they should go or they shouldn't go or refuse the exam. That would be up to you. What I am telling you is make sure you are educated if you decide to go, or make sure you're educated on what can happen if you decide to go or if you decided not to go. In my case, my last claim, I decided not to go because I didn't want that VA adjudicator to use any negative information against my private doctor's information. I felt that the VA, I think they scheduled me with QTC, and I talked about this in some of my videos. I felt if I went to that exam, they weren't going to use anything from my private examiner. And I mean, I took time away from my schedule to go to the doctor to make sure it was sufficient and all that. So I wasn't going to give them any evidence to use against me. But it's your claim. You have to make that decision on your own if you want to go, if you don't want to go. Now, again, the question still stands. And I'll be looking in the comment section. If you go through all this trouble to get a private DBQ and a nexus statement, what is the purpose of you going to the CMP exam? Or what is the purpose of getting that information if you're going to go to the CMP exam? But at the end of the day, I am not saying Dwayne Kimball is not telling you not to go. Okay. Simply asking the question. You take time away from work, from the family, whatever, to get this information, and then you still go to their exam. Okay. That's the question that I have. Okay, Jeffrey J says, can anyone else hear? Okay, somebody, I'm getting a lot of, I can hear you, I can't hear you. Okay, thumbs up, all good now. All right, okay. So I'll make sure I'll go back and edit this for anybody else comes in the first 50 seconds or so. All right, Chris B, hi Dwayne, everyone. I highly recommend private Q&A with KMD89 Consultant if you can. I got so much from it. Thank you, Chris. I definitely appreciate it. We spent some time. I did go over a little bit, so I do apologize, Chris. But again, people, these videos that I'm giving you, when I say I have slides, I done the research. I done went into the M21, the 38 CFR, and I'm giving you this information. I'm giving you information that I use on my claim, so which helped me be successful when I was a VA rater before I retired. Okay, I think sometimes a lot of people overthink it. You know, they send in thousands and thousands of pages of evidence. Then they want a VA rater to go through all that. They're on quotas. Okay, but at a minimum, you have to get educated. Period. Chris and I had a really good time on a private Q&A. He's saying he got a lot out of it. We've been doing a lot of those recently, and I'm doing one for a veteran that contacted me today. He's like, "Hey, I got this high level review coming up. I have no clue," and I'm like, "We got to get that one-on-one in." Okay. So again, Chris, thank you for providing me the opportunity to educate you and answer your questions as it pertains to the VA claims process. And thanks for the positive feedback. Okay, Raymond, can you submit for an increase on a service-connected disability if you're still serving in the reserves? Yes, you can, Chris. Yes. I'm sorry, not Chris. Ramon, yes, you can. Now, keep in mind, if you go on active duty, you have to let the VA know that so they can suspend your monthly compensation benefits, okay? Hello, wondering what the wait time is for a high-level review. There is no wait time. I've done videos on it. There's no wait time. A specific wait time for a high-level review. There's no specific wait time. If you submit an FDC claim, there's no specific wait time. Once you completed all your CMP exams for you to get your rating decision completed, okay? And there's no specific wait time if you submit that FOIA or privacy request to get a copy of your claims folder. James, who can you get to go through your claims file? Well, you can get anyone to go through your claims file, James. One of the services that we provide, we do that for veterans, but it has to be for a specific reason. If you got 10,000 pages in that claims file, what are you having somebody to review it? You know, is there 4 or 5 rating decisions in there that you think maybe one of them has a CUE due to an effective date, due to a duty to assist error? You know, you were treated in service for a couple of conditions. You filed a claim and they didn't schedule a CMP exam when they were supposed to. So you have to understand, James, what are you having somebody review that claims file for? CUE? Should you have been awarded an early effective date? Is the CMP exam that you were given insufficient? That question has to be asked first, James. Eagle Wings, hello. What does 1151 development to VMAC mean? This was annotated on my e-benefits regarding a claim for asbestosis. Okay, so 1151 claim, and that's something I haven't talked about. You don't see those a lot. One of the reasons, or I've even rated a few 1151 claims, not a lot, but just a few. But veterans will come in and say, "Hey, I had a surgery at the VA. They botched the surgery," and they file 1151 claim because they want to hold the VA accountable. So what happens is we would have to send that to another VMAC, have a doctor to look at the operative report and all the evidence to say, "Hey, did this doctor that conducted the surgery screw up, or did the VA, for whatever reason, misdiagnose, gave the incorrect prescription, and the veteran had a severe reaction to it," something like that. Okay. So I'm assuming, Eagle Wings, maybe you filed a claim against, and then when they filed these claims, it was against the VHA, not VBA, VHA, Veterans Healthcare Administration. Deep Camo, I'm at 100% PNT. Congrats, but I'm rated at 90% overall. So I'm assuming that you have IU. Would it be wise for me to pursue a higher rating for disabilities I have been rated for that? It has gotten worse. It would be up to you. I would say the first thing, get educated on whatever you're filing an increase for, migraines, PTSD, or whatever. Find out why they granted you the current percentage. Look at the diagnostic code criteria for the higher percentage. Okay, a lot of veterans, they just say, "Oh, I got 4 or 5 bulging disc and I'm in severe pain for my back." That's not the criteria for 10, 20, or 40%. Now, if that affects your forward flexion, your range of motions, then yes, you could warrant an increase. But always, you have to be educated on that diagnostic code criteria for the condition that you're claiming an increase for. Antoine D, thank you. Educated myself, and now I'm at 90%. Congrats. But the VA jacked my effective date, rated me at 40% for DDD for 10/24/22 CMP instead of 9/25 file date. Okay. Um, I can't say why they assigned that effective date, or even if it's correct. Okay. You have to, if you have a copy of your claims file, and this is one of the reasons why I tell people, submit that FOIA request or Privacy Act request and get a copy of the entire claims file. So that way you can go back from, in this case, Antoine's case, September 25th, 25/21, and come forward to 10/24/22. Now, if you find something wrong, that's either, you can file a CUE, or that's an argument on a high level review. But if you don't have a copy of your claims folder and to see what they're looking at, how can you argue that case? A lot of veterans, they jump right to a high level review and they have no clue what they're arguing and how to argue it, other than, "Hey, I served my country. I feel I should be service connected and favorable findings in a rating decision." That's not enough. Okay. But Antoine, again, do you have a copy of your claims folder? Have you went back to September 25th, 2021 to October 24th, 2022 to see if there's a lapse, or uh, more than 365 days or something like that? All right. Hello from Puerto Rico. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Carlos. It seemed like winter today. I went outside about 1:30, 2 o'clock, got in a truck. It was like 87 degrees. Okay, Jason, I am 60%. I appealed IU with a supplemental claim last month. Keep in mind, IU is not a standalone claim. It is a claim for increase for the conditions that you're stating on that 8940 that prevent you from gainful employment. If you're still unclear on IU, go to my website. I keep saying my website, I'm sorry, my YouTube channel, okay? And you can see the in there, I talk about the criteria for IU, all right? I have an independent exam in 2 weeks. What are my chances of winning my claim? How long will it take? Okay, I'm gonna take that second question first, everybody. When it comes to this VA claims process, there are no set wait times. There are no guaranteed set wait times on anything. Even if you go to the VA's website and they say, oh, our target time is 125 days, that doesn't mean that it's going to get done in 25 days. It could get done in 20 days or it could get done in 200 days. Okay. Now, the first question, what are my chances of winning my claim? That I don't know, Jason. I haven't looked at any information. I'm not a medical professional. So if I did look at some of your treatment, I can't say, oh, yeah, Jason, um, he's unemployable because he can't do this particular work. Now, I will give you an example of what raters look for. Okay, well, what I used to look for. I can't talk for other raters. But on that 8940, it asks what service connected conditions prevent the veteran from not obtaining gainful employment. Okay, and also it asks your education level, right? And you may ask yourself, why are they asking that? So I'll give you a couple of scenarios. You got veteran number one, that's a bricklayer, has a high school diploma, been a bricklayer for 25 years, has forced into retirement because he fell off a scaffold, hurt his back, couldn't go back to work. Okay. Then you have veteran number two, school teacher, bachelor's, master's, PhD, been teaching for 10 or 15, maybe let's say 20 years. All right. Well, the bricklayer, they obviously can't go do sedentary employment because of the condition, his back. So standing for a long period of time could cause an issue. Can't go be a school teacher because he only has a high school diploma. Now, let's take veteran number two with the PhD. Well, let's say, they have extreme, depression or mood disorder, PTSD, whatever, and they can't teach in a in classroom setting. Now, with those credentials, they can teach by Zoom, by video. Okay, because guess what? They're in their home or protected area, wherever they're at, office, in their home or brick and mortar office or whatever. But then the rater going to look at or should be looking at the doctor's what the doctor noted on the CMP exam, basically as it pertains to sedentary, gainful employment and sedentary employment as well. All right. Does a vocational expert help me with my TDIU claim? Is it worth the money? It's expensive. When you say voc expert, I'm assuming VA. If you have a vocational voc rehab individual at the VA working with you, there's no cost. Okay, so I don't know if you're going outside the VA or not. Okay, but the ones at the VA, when you work with them, that's free. Michael Miller, hello, sir. I was wondering, when is your disability rating really safe? 20 years. The reason why I say 20 years, Michael, is because at that point, when that percentage has been in effect for 20 years or more, even if the VA, say for instance, you come in for a new claim for something that you're not service connected for, okay, just totally new. And they see, well, man, wait a minute. This veteran wasn't even supposed to be 100%, wasn't supposed to be service connected. They can't take it away. It's protected. Even if it's a fault that, even if they're at fault. Now, when they can take it away, when it's at 20 years, if they find that there's fraud. Okay. Debo. So I have claims in the decision phase, and they have been there since October 22nd. However, I keep having a request for a CMP exam for presumptive Gulf War aggravation, but does not go through. Lost. That I can't answer because I'm not looking at that information. Is the presumptive the same condition that you went to the exam once before, and they having you go back. So there are some questions that I would be asking. But again, Debo, have you submitted a request for that claims folder? Have that, because in there it'll have that medical request. And keep in mind, people, I was telling somebody this today. VA employees do make mistakes. They sometimes request the incorrect exam. I've done it when I used to be a rater. Okay. It happens. I don't think that they intentionally do it. It just happens. They're on a quota. They're running 100 miles a minute, and they may select a different exam when they should be doing another type of exam. Okay. Good work always. Definitely appreciate it, sir. Sweet and Low 718. The VA denied me for tinnitus. Was it simply basis off my I'm assuming your Air Force MOS? Again, Sweet and Low, do you have a copy of that CMP exam? Have you requested a copy of your claims folder? If you have a copy of that CMP exam, did you look at the medical opinion? What was the rationale that the examiner provided, stating that your tinnitus is not due to your military service? Another place that you can find that information is the the rating decision. Okay, I'm gonna take this down because I want to make sure. I want to do another video on that. So Sweet and Low, just make sure you go back and look at the rating decision, because in there it should tell you, if you look in the narrative section, that it should say the examiner medically opined or examiner opined. That's the reasoning that the examiner said no. Okay. And that's for anyone. If you get a denial and you went to a CMP exam, it's the examiner saying no. 9 times out of 10, it's the examiner. And I did a video on that too. Do you know who denied your claim? All right. Okay. Just received my decision for the president at 30%. Should be 70. Should I file HLR? What's the argument? Is your argument on HLR? Oh, I feel I should be 70%. What evidence do you have, or what evidence that was in your claims folder that meets the 70% criteria under the general rating criteria for mental conditions? Again, do you have a copy of your claims folder with that CMP exam? Which boxes were checked on that CMP exam? Okay, so there's other questions. What's the argument? How are you going to argue that on a high level review? Okay, because the rater is going off the evidence of record. If there's no evidence that shows you should be 70%, how are you going to argue that on a high level review? Okay, but it all starts with having a copy of that claims file. I'm also filing for bilateral radiculopathy and TDIU. I'm only at 60%. We'll file for expedite due to bankruptcy. Okay, yeah, so that's something you definitely you want to send in. I did a video on hardship claims too, so make sure you go to my website. I'm sorry, I'm saying it again. My website, my YouTube channel, and look up that video about hardship claims. Hey, no problem, Rick. Hey, I do remember you, Rick. Hey, I appreciate it. Didn't mind taking an extra few minutes to talk with you. Glad you were able to join in tonight. I called the VA 1000 number. That's the first mistake, Debo. I did a video about the VA call center. Okay. They are not adjudicators. They don't rate your claim. They can look in VBMS and give you some basic information, but a lot of vets still call this number trying to get all this information. If a person has never rated, or they're not familiar with how to complete a rating decision, let's just say that, so you have some VSOs, lawyers that really understand it, but some don't. Okay. And you're asking about different things, this call center person, they don't understand. They don't know how to, 9 times out of 10, they don't know how to read a nexus, a IMO. They can say, yeah, we have your nexus statement from your doctor. That's it. But they can't tell you, more than likely, they can't tell you if it's sufficient or not. Okay. Call the 1000 number. And they said more than likely the claim will not go back to evidence gathering since it is decision phase. Again, they can't tell you that because they're not adjudicating the claim. What if it gets to a rater and rater says, oh, wait a minute, we need this additional evidence? Guess where it's going? Back to gathering evidence phase. I've seen that happen. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen sometimes. Okay. I would never tell a vet that. It could go back. They're not looking at everything that's in your claim. Okay. Or your claims folder, I'm sorry. Egwene Seller Dwayne, forgot to mention, thank you for all you do. Not a problem. Appreciate it. I wouldn't say I'm the man, but you all make me give you this information based off your questions. I get some ideas from YouTube channels and stuff like that. So I thank you for supporting me as well. Thank you for the great Floridian advice. Not a problem. Not a problem. Another question for James. I was awarded my 100%, but there are mistakes in my claim by the attorney has not represented me at all. The VA says my claim was closed, but I am still in line for a hearing. What should I do? Get educated on why you're in line for a hearing. James, I have several videos out there about high-level review. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about when you say hearing, informal hearing for high-level review. Go and watch those videos, James. I even interviewed a Army officer last year, and she talked about what she did based off of watching my videos and how it helped her be successful. Okay. And James, do you have a copy of your claims file? Army Matt submitted a TDIU claim back in January. I'm waiting on a high-level review right now. If I win this claim, what will be my effective date? James, if I can give you that effective date, I can tell you what the Powerball numbers is. And the reason why I cannot tell you is because I'm not looking at any information. Now, I could tell you if I was looking at the information, if you had a copy of your claims for it, I could go through it and say, yep, this should be the date. But that adjudicator may assign a different date. Okay. But keep in mind, let's just say, for example, you quit work, you have to stop working, and you're granted IU within that 1 year. Normally, you'll see that effective date go to the date after the veteran stopped working. Okay. If it's beyond that 1 year, then it could be intent to file, facts found, who knows. But someone would have to be looking at all that information, Matt. Dito Girl, Texas. See what we got. Hey, Dwayne, this is Shannon from Texas. Hey, Shannon, how we doing? My question is, are we looking at a longer wait times due to this current investigation of the VA? You know what? Somebody said something else about an investigation. I haven't heard that. Let me know what that investigation is so I can do some research on it. So, Dito Girl, I'm sorry, Shannon, let me know what that is so I can do some research on it. Robert, I received a copy of an ACE exam that showed I saw the examiner and spoke to them. They are in California. I'm in Colorado. This never happened. Is this a failure to assist or a CUE? I would say, well, an ACE exam, they don't have to reach out to you, Robert. That's the whole point of ACE exam. I did a video on it. You can go to my channel, type in ACE, and I explain what an ACE exam is and show you the M21 reference of the VA explaining it. Okay. ACE exam, they don't have to call you. They don't have to, you don't have to go in the office. They just look at it based off the evidence. I don't like ACE exams. I think at a minimum, the examiner should pick up the phone and call the vet. So let's say the vet is claiming an increase in migraines, and there's no evidence in the claims file of severe economic inadaptability. The examiner should at least at a minimum call you and say, hey, is this affecting your employment? Yes, they can check that box. You go from 30 to 50. But sometimes these examiners think veterans go to the VA and get treatment for everything, and that's not the case. But Robert, I don't like ACE exams. Make sure you go to, let me get it right this time, my YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel, type in ACE, do a search for that, and I break down what an ACE exam is and the ins and outs of it. Okay. Jimmy, hello, DK. Man, that's weird because a lot of people in high school used to call me DK, but that's fine. SoCal, Ventura County here. Uh, I am home with C19 and finally able to join you live. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Thank you so much for all your knowledge and transparency. I really enjoy your presentation ability. Hey, I definitely appreciate, and I don't say it enough. I hear from um, everyone out there on YouTube. Hey, thank you, thank you, thank you. But thank you for supporting me and my YouTube channel. And always, I want to thank you for the positive feedback as well. I try to get to everyone's questions, comments on my YouTube channel. Is one of the first things I do when I get up in the morning. Don't get up 4:30, stretch, get my morning stretch in, meditation, and then I jump on the computer. And before I start going through my main emails, I'm trying to answer or respond to all the comments on my YouTube channel. Some comments, are kind of, I would say, hate speech or just flat out rude. I just report those and YouTube hide them, and I get to the ones that people want a better understanding and really appreciate what I do and trying to get a better understanding on this VA claims process. So I thank all of you for sharing your evening with me, so I can answer the majority of your questions and watching my videos. I definitely really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Sean, just had a CMP on Monday. They did not take my nexus and DBQ, but my exam went really well. I'm confident I'll get my disability. Sean, I really hope that you do. But again, I was stating this earlier. You go out, you get a DBQ and a CMP exam from your private doctor. What's the purpose of that if you're going to go to their CMP exam? Okay. I hear a lot of veterans, they'll say, hey, it went really well. They get their rating decision. They be like, wait a minute, they denied me for everything. But Sean, I really hope that you do get the service connection or the increase or whatever you applied for, okay? Rick, I asked for a high-level review. I truly, after watching your educational videos, need to file a supplemental claim. How do I eliminate the high-level review exam? High-level, are they sending you for an exam, or do you mean how do you eliminate the high-level review? If you submitted a high-level review and you want to discontinue or remove it, just simply write in and tell them, hey, I want to remove the high-level review. Okay, I no longer want to pursue the high-level review. I'm going to submit a supplemental claim. And then they should send you a letter in the mail stating that they received your request withdraw. That's the key word, withdraw your high-level review. Hey, Bill, what's going on? I'm glad to see you in here. I know we were going back and forth on LinkedIn earlier. Thanks for attending. I attended my CMP exam this past Monday for sleep apnea. The medic reviewed my medical records and was unable to find my reference to a sleep disorder. What should I expect from this third-party examiner? I would say this, Bill, when the third-party examiners when the VA started using the third-party examiners, they would grant service connection like crazy. But this past year, I don't know, the previous doctors, they all left, they retired, but these examiners now, what I've been saying, they are hard on veterans. Okay. But if you're claiming it due to direct service connection, There has to be something in those medical records. If they don't see it, could be possible denial, but I really can't tell you what to expect because there's hundreds of examiners. I don't know all of them, and they all may look at things a little bit different. Lucky Lady 48. Why would VA do independent medical opinion on my 2-year-old sleep apnea test? It was duty to assist there. Good question. Don't know. Only person that adjudicated that, or only person that adjudicated that would know. But again, do you have a copy, Lucky Lady? Do you have a copy of your claims folder? Because some veterans, I've seen where some veterans have a copy of their claims folder, and guess what's in there? They'll have an email from a supervisor to employee talking about, hey, request this CMP exam because of this, request this CMP exam because of that. Okay. And it won't be in the note section in VBMS or VBMS-R. That's the program that they use to house all your electronic claims folder. But if you have a copy of that, you could see some of that information. Okay. Sim, hi Dwayne. Hey, how we doing, sir? Or Bam, I'm sorry. I am 100%, but my last LHI appointment, I received an increase in amount I received. Does this mean my effective date starts to the later date, although it's still 100? I would have to look at that information. I would have to look at your evidence to see what could be the possible effective date. And, I get questions like this, especially effective dates, and I can't answer them. I can give you some hypotheticals, but that's not going to do any good. I have to be looking at all that information. Okay, that's critical. Someone's trying to give you an effective date and they don't have all those documents in front of them, just keep in mind, it's just hypothetical. That's it. Okay. Okay, Raymond, the Broadway. Why would the VA make me go to my military doctor after they conducted their exam? That I don't know, Raymond. Again, everyone, some of these questions are geared towards looking at certain information. Like, what did you claim? How did you claim it? Was it, uh, did you originally go to a specialist or just a nurse practitioner, and it should have been done by a particular specialist, like TBI, a neurologist for a TBI? There's a lot of other questions um, that I would need to know to try to even come close to even trying to answer that. Okay, but have to look at that. I would have to be looking at that information. And again, don't forget, VA employees make mistakes. Was that exam warranted? If you have a copy of your claims file, they could have put it in the medical request as to why they requested it. You know, Struggleville Records. Hey, Dwayne, I had my PES plans prior to service with no symptoms, but now I've been diagnosed with plantar fasciitis, among other things. How should I claim this? I'm not sure if it was noted in boot camp. So if you're saying you had it beforehand, Struggleville Records, do you have a copy of your claims file? If you do, have you reviewed your service treatment records? And if so, on that entrance exam, does it say pest planus? That's one of the things that I claim. It was on my entrance exam. I claimed it as pre-service aggravation because I had moderate pest planus before I went on active duty. They denied my claim the first time around, never sent me to a CMP exam. And the reason for the denial, they say, we don't see it notated in your service treatment records. I got a copy of those records. It was on my entrance exam when I went into the Missouri National Guard, and it was on my entrance exam when I went on active duty in the Army. But they say they didn't see it. So they sent me the records that they looked at, and I found it. Okay. But that would fall under pre-service aggravation. Mark, I am at 90%, partially for spine injuries. Since retiring, I can walk, but have Had 2 falls, breaking my tailbone and tearing my right shoulder. Can this justify the 40% more I need reach 100%? Okay. Like I stated earlier, the back, you for forward flexion has to be 30 degrees or less. Okay. It doesn't matter what your pain threshold level is. Your forward flexion has to be 30%. So when you go and look at the general rating criteria for the thoracolumbar, thoracolumbar and cervical strain, when you look at that general rating criteria, it'll tell you the criteria that you need to meet, the range of motion you need to meet for the 40%. Joseph, hi to Wayne. When you mentioned claims folder to help with getting the correct effective date, will a copy of my rating code sheet help also? Um, when I'm doing a review for one of my clients, okay, for effective dates, I may look at the code sheet, but I need that claims folder because what I'm looking at, what did you do an intent to file? What was that date? What is the date of claim? Date of claim is when they received the actual prescribed form, the formal claim form. Did you have a CMP exam? Okay. Were you previously denied? Did you submit that supplemental claim within a year of that notification letter of the previous denial? I'm looking at those dates on those letters. And then in the recent rating decision, I'm looking for why that adjudicator assigned that effective date, and were they correct in assigning that effective date based on that research that I just mentioned. Okay. Traveling Terry. Hey, what's going on, Terry? You still over there on the East Coast? Hey, Dwayne, wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well. And thanks so much for doing these videos. We all learn so much from each one you take the time to put out. Thanks for all you do. I really appreciate it, Terry. I do put some time in. I have a vision board here in the office with a list of videos, but I spend probably more time researching that video, especially if I'm doing slides. And even if I don't do a slide, I may sit here for like 20, 30 minutes and maybe looking at some information about a particular topic, and then I'm just talking to it without showing some slides or if I'm giving some examples. Okay. But the majority of the time, especially if I show a slide, I've definitely done some research. So I'm trying to keep my videos in between 10 to 12 minutes, but I may be doing research on that for that particular video for 30 minutes or even an hour sometimes. Okay. So again, Merry Christmas to you, Terry, and everyone out there as well. It's time to be spending some money. Okay. Frey says there's no sound. Let me scroll down and see if anybody can see. Okay, I don't see where else nobody's having any problems with the sounds. Okay. Paul, as I walk in, I'm able to go to any regional office and get a copy of my claims file or review it. I've heard of some regional offices providing that information, but again, it could be a lot of information, a lot of for them to print out. But I know the regional office I worked at, no, they would not print it out for you. Frank, I have SMC, loss of use of dominant hand. Can I get auto allowance? You could. I know what auto allowance is. It falls under like special contentions, like a special home adaptation, and stuff like that. I would have to look at the criteria for auto allowance. I know where to go and find that criteria, but I don't know all of the criteria right off the top of my head. Okay, but if you had lost the use of your hands, I would presume of one hand that could be one of the qualifications, but don't hold me to it because I haven't looked at that criteria for auto allowance, and wow, it's been probably over a year. Richard, are sleep apnea claims secondary PTSD being routinely denied as a trend? Yes, from what I've been seeing from third-party examiners and VA CMP examiners. Now, I interviewed a nurse practitioner this time last year, where one of the questions I asked her, is there a connection? Has there been studies to prove that sleep apnea can be secondary to PTSD or any other, some of the other mental health diagnoses? And her answer was yes. So Richard, definitely go out and take a look at that video. Okay. Michael, you're welcome, sir. I got another 10% for my plantar fasciitis when I went to my CMP exam. But now I go to VES appointment, want the different, and then I got DBQ for my. Not really understand that question, but I will say this, Norma. What was your reason for getting the your private doctor, your VA doctor, to do the DBQ for you? If you're going to go to that exam, you know, what would be your reasoning? Now, I'm not saying again not to go or to go to the exam. I would just like to know the reasoning. Greetings, Frat LG. Go Bob. When dealing with IDES process, do I need to have everything already documented? Feel so lost with this process. All my CMP exams have been completed. IDES, you don't come across those a lot. I would say this, Frat. Let's touch bases offline. But the M21 goes in a little bit of detail about IDES process. I haven't researched that information here recently, so I don't know if anything has changed with that. But connect with me offline. Debo, all new claims, and yes, sir, I did request a claims file. Still waiting 5 months in. Okay, it took him 11 months to get mine, Debo. I am getting 10% disability and still denying me for the rest of my claims. Well, what is the reason that they're denying you? It's in the narrative section. Again, did you have a CMP exam? Do you have a copy of your VA claims folder? It's a lot of other questions there. Jay, I received 10% for my knee and 0% for a hernia in 1995. I have a CMP appointment this week through VES. Since it's been many years, do I have a shot at a higher rating? I'm assuming you're talking about for the knee, 0% for the hernia. So my question to you, Jay, is have you called the 800 number and asked them to email you a disability breakdown letter to include the diagnostic codes? Say it again, a disability breakdown letter to include the diagnostic codes. Once you get that letter, you can take that diagnostic code for the 10% and the 0% for the hernia. Go to their website, look in the rating schedule, and find out what the criteria is for the 20% for the knee and the 10%, if it's a 10% or the next higher percentage for the hernia. And that's for every veteran out there that's listening to this, okay? In the description section of my video, I have a lot of information. Veterans ask me, Dwayne, how did you go about getting a copy of the claims folder? It's in the description section of my video. Hey, Dwayne, do you got a link for the DBQs? Yep, it's in the description section of my video. Hey, Dwayne, what's your website? It's in the description section of my video. Okay, so you have to go there. I put a lot of information in there because it's based off a lot of questions that I was getting over and over again. So it's something that you can use as a reference without even have to ask me that question. Okay, y'all got to relax. Every claim I have made, they keep saying not service connected, even though I have the evidence. It's not based off so much about the evidence, Mr. Daniels. How is it related to service? Is it documented? Do you have a documented treatment, complaint, injury, disease, or diagnosis in service? I did a series of videos, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, did a series last year and the year before that. Go check out step 1 of the VA claims process. Okay. All right. So we got 128 people in here. Make sure you hit that like button. Somebody let me know how many likes we have. I did get a couple. I started a couple of minutes late due to technical difficulties, my audio. So I will go over just a little bit, a couple of minutes to try to get through a little bit more of these questions. I think maybe a high-level review for my depression shall be filed because rating doesn't match the evidence or failure to consider evidence. If a lot of veterans, okay, let me explain this. A lot of veterans will say, Dwayne, they didn't consider the evidence. My first question to that veteran, in the rating decision, in the evidence section, the evidence that you're saying that they didn't look at or they didn't weigh or they didn't consider, is it there? If it's there, they are saying they looked at it and they weighed it. Now, could they have weighed it? Maybe, maybe not. Only they know. But we can't say as veterans they fail to consider it. If it's in the evidence section, they're saying they considered it. Okay. I had a buddy letter, wife, and a long report from my psych doctor. So if all that is in the evidence section of that rating decision, if I look at it, I can only assume that they considered it because they noted it. Now, only they know if they even looked at it. They could have looked at it and just said, okay, this is what the veteran sent it in and just typed it in there and that's it and never looked at it. We wouldn't know that. There's no way to know that. Okay. You're welcome. All right, go my Fred. Yes, I know they don't. All right. Let's see who we got here. Mr. Zimmerman, VA has a new environmental health clinic at each VA. I talked to her today. She said I should get a family doctor before for CMP. No doctors I know about environmental toxins. Yeah, especially private doctors, maybe some VA doctors wouldn't. So it might not be a bad idea to go to the M21 reference, start your search there, because when you go there, you can search sort of like Google, and then you may could come across any court cases and additional 38 CFRs. A. Hoffman, I transitioned from active duty reserves in 2013 and have never filed a claim. Can you give me some good places to start learning about where to start so I can make sure I'm educated as I can be? Sure, the M21 reference manual talks about reserves and National Guard, which is a little bit different than active duty because you get active duty for training, and inactive duty. Active duty for training is a 2-week drill time. Inactive duty for training is a 2-day a month drills that you do every month. Okay. A little bit different from active duty. Just trying to look at the next question. Okay. Arthur, thank you. My good brother, great information shared. Not a problem. I will send you the article. Okay. Appreciate it. Carl, my high-level review was not done right. A bad storm moved in. The VA done my high-level review without my rep and then turned me down and left out evidence. There might be a White House hotline complaint where you can state that, request a supervisor give you a call and just, tell them what happened and say, hey, they need to reschedule that. I wasn't given the opportunity. All right. Failure for duty to assist. Okay. Should I use a VA Form 21-4138 to explain my reason to advance the docket to BVA? Okay. Yeah, you can, but they may not. When you say advance the docket, you could. Is it due to a hardship, or you just tell them, hey, I want you all to advance it? If you just tell them to advance it, 9 times out of 10 they won't do it. Sam, good evening, Dwayne, and everyone here. Tell everyone to check and make sure they are getting their proper pay. I retired September '97 at 30% with no spouse or kids pay. Just found out they owe me a lot of money. I was on a Zoom with some other veterans, and I was saying, hey, this new pay increase that we're getting, right? On 1 January for this month. So we're going to get that 8.7 increase. The first payment is going to be January 1st, and that's going to be for the month of December. Now, I've had people to argue, say, nope, we don't get paid in arrears. I don't know. These are individuals that tell me, this, they never rated, they never was a VSR, they never adjudicated a claim, none of that. But they're saying, oh, Dwayne, you don't know what you're talking about. When you get paid on the 1st, that payment is for the following month. Okay. Whether your original effective date was the 15th, the 30th, the 1st, or whatever. Okay. Now, In this Zoom meeting, I was telling veterans, hey, you might want to take a snapshot of what they paid you December 1st. You'll have it in your checking account or savings account, whichever one you have it going to. So you can see that amount. And then look at the increase. Okay. I just did a video about the compensation rates, and I shared the VA's website that showed the chart. Somebody left me a comment and said, "Hey, your chart is incorrect." It wasn't my chart. I'm showing veterans the chart from the VA's website. Okay, so go there. You'll that when you look at the chart, if you're a single veteran, veteran with a spouse, kids, whatever, then the pay that you receive on January 1st, make sure it's the same that's in that chart. Okay. Now, if you got any additional SMCs, then you're going to go to the SMC rate table. If you got SMC K, L, S, M, N, or whatever, then you go there and you can see the proper amount. Robert, I agree with you about the ACE exam. I've seen your video about them. Okay. The boxes on the DBQ were checked that there was an in-person exam with the wrong information check. Is this a CUE? It's an insufficient exam, and I think it would probably fall under, if you did a high level review, you can say, hey, you know what, Robert, you just stated your argument on a high level review right there. That's it. The boxes on the DBQ were checked that there was an in-person exam. How can it be an in-person exam? Because if you have a copy of that CMP exam, it's going to say they did it by ACE. There you go. Okay. So then you can argue that as that exam being insufficient for those particular reasons. Okay. All right. Somebody let me know how many likes we got. Okay. Nobody. I'm just scrolling through. Nobody told me. Okay. All right. I see you, Don Free. Whoop whoop. All right. 19 legacy. Just had a sleep study from VBA yesterday, and they stopped it early because the sleep tech detected sleep apnea from me snoring. It's just good. Well, I'm not a medical professional, so I can't say if that's a good thing in relation to them giving you a diagnosis. A medical professional would have to say yes or no. I'm not, so I can't say either way there. Michael Cotton, what is the best way to get a diagnosis for IBS if I'm already rated for PTSD? Best way to get a diagnosis for IBS, go to the doctor, get examined. Doctor would have to examine you, and then give you that diagnosis. Marty, Mr. Kimball, have 2 disabilities, but only ready to move forward on one of them. Is it correct to create 2 intentions to file and go one at a time? That would be up to you. But just keep in mind, when you do it, if you were to do an intent to file today and another intent to file tomorrow, and then next week file that prescribed claim form, they're going to go, that second intent to file is void. Now, if you put that second intent to file after you submit that prescribed form and then another prescribed form, then that second claim will go with that second intent to file. That gets kind of tricky too. So you got to make sure you know what you're doing. Hey, Scrap Guy, formerly known as Gun Guy. Thank you, Dwayne. I appreciate your professionalism, acknowledge. Hey, no problem, Bill. Hey, connect with me on LinkedIn as well. How long does it take for DFAS to audit VA claim? DFAS, I never worked at DFAS, never worked with DFAS. I only was a rater. So I can't answer or acknowledge anything about DFAS. Received rating decision in August 2022 for 40% with effective date of May 2021. Received separation September, October, November 22. I have not received back pay from effective date. Now, I will say this. When I used to rate those claims, I know it would be months sometimes for DFAS. And then the wait times kind of went down. But again, that could have changed They could have changed how they do their processes. Do VSOs have the ability to see a CMP exam? This is the best question of all, the whole evening here. Yes, VSO, if they're representing you, you fill out that 21-22, you giving them access to your claims folder and for them to represent you. They can go in VBMS and see it if it's there. If the doctor has released it back and it's been uploaded to your claims folder, yes. But it's funny you should mention this because this week, I've at least had 2 veterans tell me, hey, my VSO's saying that they can't see my CMP exam. When did you do your CMP exam? Did it months ago. Then they turn around and call the 800 number. Yeah, we see your CMP exam. Might be want to get a different VSO if that happens. Somebody's not being forthcoming. All right. Can you file 2 separate secondary claims out of one service-connected disability? Yes. I've seen veterans claim migraines and sleep apnea secondary to PTSD and get awarded for it, but not from a VA CMP examiner. Okay. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate it. So I couldn't give you a better answer on that sleep apnea, but again, I'm not a medical professional, so I can't provide any diagnosis. DK, I had 2 CMP exams, November 2022. First was mental health for generalized anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, which I filed secondary to chronic pain, which my VA psychiatrist and psychologist diagnosed as general anxiety disorder, et cetera, et cetera. CMP due to chronic pain. Okay. So I hope you get that. Look at the rating criteria for the mental condition. Okay. So everyone is saying that they can hear me. I definitely appreciate it. I will go back and edit the video and cut the first couple of seconds. I was in and out of Zoom today. I really apologize. So I was switching mics, headsets, and I didn't think to check it before I went live. So I do apologize for that. Okay. Okay. All right. So before I wrap it up, just want to let everybody know if you're trying to, if you have your claims folder, okay, and I should have said this earlier. If you have your claims folder on CD, you need a DBQ and nexus statement, reach out to me, okay? Our clients have options. If you decide to become a client and to obtain a customized educational packet, which you can find on my website, you have to and you need a DBQ and nexus or just a DBQ, reach out to me. You have to have that claims file folder. Now, on CD, if you don't have it, but you have everything that you sent the VA and that the VA sent you, you probably have about 95% of your claims folder. We can talk about how to get the DBQ and nexus statement, but you have to have that information. If you don't have it, don't even worry about contacting me because you can't become a client and get a DBQ if you don't have it, because on that DBQ, what does it ask? What evidence was reviewed? If you look at some of my videos, talk about the M21 reference, it tells the adjudicator, consider length of treatment and evidence review, and some other M21s out there that talks about VA claims folder. Review of VA claims folder. VA claims folder needs to be reviewed for this type of exam. VA claims folder need to be reviewed for this type of exam. Okay. That's why I always challenge people to get a copy of their claims folder. Okay. So what? We only got 130 people in here and 76 likes. Come on, help me out, people. I had a CMP exam for everything but PTSD and insomnia. Okay. So how was you claiming PTSD? What was your stressor? And can the stressor be confirmed? Just because we claim something, doesn't mean that we can automatically get a CMP exam. All right. Yep. Jolly Green. Tell them, put in your likes. Okay. Brian, I finally got 100%. Congrats. Ms. Zimmerman, thanks. I will appreciate your answer. Thank you for attending tonight. Howard, as Howard, hi, big man. Happy holidays. Likewise, likewise, likewise. Definitely appreciate it. All right, here we go. Don Freed, if you're still there, whoop, whoop. All right, Don. Give me a call. I haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks. 89, 89. Somebody let me know before we get out of here. Okay, 99. Okay, can we break 100? There we go. Bill Smith, let me know. 102. Okay, let me take one other questions. Bobby Bowe says, thank you for what you do for veterans. Thank you for the support, Bobby. Oh, and another thing. The end of this month, the third Thursday of this month, my Veterans Roundtable. If you follow me on Eventbrite, you'll get an email, or we'll send out an email if you subscribe to the newsletter. You follow me on Eventbrite, but it's the third Thursday of every month. I'm not going to have a guest speaker this month. I'm going to have, I'm just going to do a recap of 2022. I'm going to take about 10 minutes and talk about a particular topic, especially one of the videos that I did that I think that you need to know going into 2023. Okay. And guess what? It's free. Okay. All the thing you got to sign up. It'll be the third Thursday. I think it is live. So if you follow me on Facebook, it should, not Facebook, but if you follow me on Eventbrite, it should be live now. I'll have to check with my assistant tomorrow. Can I get a VSO outside of my state? Yeah. Yeah, Don, I messed everything up, man. I was in Zoom, had the headset mic on, and then jumped in here real quick and then switch it. Can I sue the VA? Yeah. Tort claims. That would fall under a tort claim. They don't call it sue, but you could sue. I've seen veterans sue for certain things. I think there's a lawsuit against the VA now for discriminating against African American veterans, denying their claims or something like that. I saw something on a website somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, but they got tort claims and stuff like that. Okay, we got somebody putting some spam in here. Okay, Chris B. Thanks again for all you do and for all the education you help pass on to vets. Hey, really appreciate it, Chris. Again, had a good time speaking with you today. As Chris said, thank you for the donation. And as Chris stated earlier, he opted into one of our private Q&As. Was able to answer a lot of his questions. I had one of those scheduled last month, didn't get a lot of participation. So now I'm only doing them on a case-by-case basis. But make sure you go out to my website so you can see all the different hey, thank you, T. Hayes. 128, we got 130 people. Make sure you go out to my website and check the different educational services that I provide. A lot of people sign up for the consultation. They say, Dwayne, I didn't see your your educational services. You have to scroll right by it. There's only one place on my website that you can schedule it, and I put it underneath all the different educational services I provide. Okay, you just gotta read it. Okay, a lot of good information. Okay, so with that being said, all right, I started late. Go ahead and answer your question, sir. You got like 5 seconds to get that question in there. Hello, I have a question for you, brother. Okay, go ahead. This is the last question. Waiting. But while he's or she is typing that, again, when you go to the website, you can see the educational services I provide under the services link. Okay. And then that way, before you even sign up for the consultation, you'll know which service we'll be talking about or that you may have questions about. Okay. DK, best holiday wishes to you and your family and staff. God bless. Outstanding info put out. Hey, I appreciate it, Jimmy, and likewise to you. Next Q&A will be January 4th. So I hope that everyone has a happy Merry Christmas. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, spending time with your family. I take that time to spend time with my family, be thankful for my family and just life in general. That's what I'm thankful for during that time. Okay. So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and don't forget to share this video with your fellow vendors. Thank you.